Running hard? Make sure you recover harder. Myo Fitness, trusted by elites like Genevieve Gregson, Ryan Gregson, Peter Bowl, and many AFL stars, offers sports massage and myotherapy to keep you moving at your best. Don't wait for an injury. Make recovery part of your training. Click the link in the Inside Running podcast bio, and there is a special discount for listeners. Myo Fitness is located in North Melbourne and Yarraville, Victoria. Book now at myofitness.com.au.
Child, that your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways.
Welcome to episode number 385 of the Inside Running podcast. Thanks for being with us for another week. We got a huge show for you this week. Not one, not two, potentially three guests popping in throughout this episode. We're hoping to get Wayne Larden on the line. He's the event director at the Sydney Marathon. We're hoping to get Eliud Kipchoge for one quick question. And we're also got the most popular distance runner in Australia lined up for the show tonight, Seth O'Donnell. Everyone's been talking about him, and we're hoping he's going to answer his phone at some stage this evening as well. Got all the other segments as well. Welcome to my co-host. He's down in Anglesea, the 214 man, Julian Spence. How you going?
Going all right, mate. Thank you for opening up the show so strong, like you always do.
Got to come in strong, don't you? You got to start off strong. Sometimes it's hard at 7 p.m. on a Monday night, like you've been working all day, just put some kids to bed, and then you just got to pep up again. But it's what we do for our lovely listeners.
Come in like a robot. You're like AI on those intros.
Well, I think people are like in their driveway about to go for a run, and it's like you've got to be able to. We're providing a source of entertainment. You got to be up and about.
Well, you set the tone, don't you? Bring the energy.
You gotta. Yeah, otherwise people turn it off. They've literally got every single podcast that's ever been invented, most likely in their pocket. And if ours is shit, they'll just pick another one.
You gotta rip Croaks away from his phone, because now that we're on StreamYard, we can watch him. He's just scrolling Instagram the whole night. So you got to get him away from that.
Well, people did enjoy our Skype chat last week, but we have had to go to a different platform tonight due to some of these big name guests we want to try and line up. Croaks, how are you though? The 217 man up there in the nation's capital of Canberra.
I'm good, Brady. I'm excited to throw some questions to Wayne and Seth, because I don't know, like, are you guys excited about Kipchoge coming? I feel like Kipchoge is past his best, and it's a little bit like Great Ocean Road Marathon basically announcing that Julian Spence will be lining up this year. It's like you're not getting 2019 Julian Spence. So is it to just promote the event, build some hype, get people out on the streets? Is that why they're bringing him, or they do actually think that he can still perform? So interested to find out how they measure their return on investment for Kipchoge.
Brady, he's had that in the chamber, mate. He's had that in the chamber, and he's just gone bang as soon as the intro was done.
Well, I thought I didn't want to use that gag while Wayne was on the line, so I thought I'd get it out early. It's true, though.
You can ask that to him, Croaks, and I guess we'll see at London, won't we? London will give us a good indication in 6 weeks' time what kind of shape he's in. And it's interesting that they announced it pre-London.
Yeah, well, I reckon they'd be a little bit nervous because you look at his last 2 years. He finished 10th at Tokyo last year. Then it was a DNF Olympics. And so if he has another DNF in London or a very poor performance, it's like he's coming to Sydney with not a lot of runs on the board in the last couple of years.
What was he at Boston before Tokyo as well? That wasn't good.
Yeah, it was like 2:09 he ran, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Do you reckon they care, though? They're not getting him here to win the race. They're getting him here to be a star, to get the questions, like the media questions, people out cheering for him, that kind of thing.
Well, that's my question. Like, how do they measure return on investment? Because it's like he can't bring in any more entries because the event's sold out. So how do they measure? And it wouldn't be cheap bringing him out here.
No. Media, probably media attention, I guess.
Yeah, save all those questions because Wayne will be here in 20 minutes and fire those at him, Croaks. But we got to kind of rush through our weeks this week. We got about, 15, 20 minutes to get through them, which is how long it took Moose just to do half a week last week. So do you want to go first, Moose? We'll get you out of the way and then we can move on, Croaks, and then myself.
Do you want to save me to after? I might not have enough time.
Okay, we can do that if you want.
No, I'm good. I'll do it. Monday I had off. I went for a mountain bike ride. Scheduled rest day. The mountain bike ride was actually really difficult. I dropped out from the single track onto this dirt road and I saw 2 bike riders ahead of me and I thought I'm going to catch them. And I just gunned it, gassed it back. It was all uphill on the way back and I didn't catch them until the very last hill before my house. And then I look over and I'm like, fuck, these 2 guys are 2 of the best cyclists like around Geelong. And you got me, a dickhead, absolutely smashed myself as I went past them, like sweating profusely, like spit coming out the side of my mouth. They're just both cruising along out for a cruisy social ride. I don't know whether they enjoyed me going past saying good morning looking like that. It would be like the equivalent if you were out running around Mulligan's, Croaks, and some bloke's just smashing himself and come past you on an easy day. Felt like a bit of a dickhead, to be honest.
At least you can admit it.
Yeah. But, I mean, I caught him. I was pretty happy to catch him. But I also, it sort of stirred my back up a bit. So the next day, I was a bit tired on my run. I did 5 minutes steady to finish a 12K run. Nothing special about that. Then jumped on the treadie the next day for 7K. Ran the Peg Premium. There's magic in the shoe, and I do feel like there's something special about it. It's probably just a little bit heavy. It could be the heaviness that I don't quite love about it. Next morning, drove down the street and it was supposed to be 12K, but I dropped it back a little bit, did some strides, put on the Hoka Cielo X1 version 2, which I hadn't run in at all. So I just did strides in this shoe. Nice pop off the forefoot, very strong rocker. I think this is a shoe if you're feeling good, it will feel amazing. And if you're feeling shit, then it will feel awful. You boys running yours yet?
Mine just arrived today. I want to put them to the test. Is it like a Rebellion Pro kind of vibes that like there is no heel? You got to hit the front
feels
of it?
Better than that. It feels more stable than that. And it doesn't feel as exaggerated as that. I like it more than that. It's also a better fit than that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Does it fit small? When I just got mine out of the box today, I was like, this looks a bit smaller than my usual size.
Yeah, mine fits a little bit small.
Go half size up if you're buying it. Or is that Hoka?
No, well, I'm a 12 in everything and I'm a 12 in this. So not for me. But maybe if you're like between 2 sizes, you would go up a half size in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you go to the bigger size. We'll talk about it more when we've done sessions in it.
Confident enough to put it on for like a like major workout? Like say I'm only doing 1 or 2 workouts a week. Should I box it out of the box to trust in it?
I'd wear it. Yeah, for sure. I think it needs to be tested properly like that.
Yeah.
Did a longer warm up the next day, and then jumped on the treadie and did like a pretty small little return to workout sort of thing. So I did 3 lots of 3 minutes steady with 2-minute jog. Put on another new super shoe, the Endorphin Elite 2. This thing here is so soft, so light, very bouncy feel. Probably a little unstable for me at anything slower than faster, like proper fast. I'm not sure how this will go at marathon pace for me, given that I'm probably not quite. It's almost like I'm a little heavy for this shoe. That's what I'm feeling, but we'll give it a proper test when we get out on the roads and do an actual workout, not a treadmill workout. A bit too much given the treadmill to really test it. Their steadies, I have no idea what pace they were because my treadmill is, I think every techno gym actually is way out in terms of the calibration of the pace. The ones in the store are the same. Like you put it on 10K an hour, it feels like 12K an hour. So I just go off feel for this and keep heart rate. I like my heart rate band connects to the treadmill screen, which is really handy. I don't have to look at my watch. It just shows, so I can pretty much dial it in. So that was good. I didn't feel any pain, no soreness or anything. Did a jog after it to cool down. Just did 7K the next day. And then on Sunday, got out to the Surf Coast Track Club. We ran from Anglesea. It was raining. It was wet for the first time in a long time. The trails had puddles, bit of sort of top surface was gone. Pretty different feel, like 7 a.m., really dark. It was almost like you needed a headlamp. So it was very wintry feels down there. Had a decent group. Virus, give it a little boost of vax. I think we're starting to shed it now. Had Watto down there, boys, from Ballarat. He ran with me. We got dropped the group. It was good to see, actually. Good to see the group. Like, it was myself. Andre Lagersh was there, Croaks, your main doctor. The guy saved your life.
Yeah, he's finishing touches on his marathon prep.
Yep. Doing Brussels a couple of weeks, maybe.
Yep.
A few weeks.
Same day as Canberra, I think.
When's that?
No, like 13th of April.
Yeah, before yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. Gone to Chicago today as well. Travels a bit, the big fella.
Does.
So, yeah, he was there. We had Toby, Sam Williams, Brett Coleman was there doing Ballarat, Brett, with an eye on Sydney. Wants to maybe get an age group qualifying time. So he'll go to Ballarat, put one on the board, and then maybe sneak into Sydney somehow. I'll ask Lardo later, actually. I'll say, you got a spot for a 245 59-year-old, Brett Coleman?
Isn't there? They did release their like sub-elite times, didn't they?
Oh, did they? I'm not sure if they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he'd be very close to that because people were
Very
freaking
close.
out on the. Yeah, no. So they just went.
He'd smash it.
Yeah, because they released this time and they kind of worded it a bit like confusing that then everyone thought it was the qualifying time. And everyone's like, why is this so hard to get into, or 245 or whatever it was? People all freaking out in the comments. But it's actually just the sub-elite time or preferred
I don't know what you're
time.
talking about.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brett should be there.
Anyway, that was me, 68K. Had a day off today. Did struggle with a bit of back tightness during the week, but I seem to have come through it pretty well. So doing another 70K week this week, but with same as last week, basically. Just do a couple bit longer workouts. Having fun.
Good. You would have been the happiest man in Anglesea joining that long run, wouldn't you? It's good to get back with the group.
Oh, yeah, it was fun. It's just different when you're getting dropped. It's just a new world for me. Like, I'm seeing these guys run off after 14K of running, I think it was. And I'm like, I couldn't fucking go with them if I wanted. It just sucks. But then we've got old fellas around us. It was the dad group. So we had Watto and Andre and Brett. We were just talking about kids. And you know what? The other blokes would have just got so sick of the conversation about talking about kids and school and fucking sicknesses. And I think it was Watto's kids starting to use makeup and all this shit. And the boys would have been like, let's get out of here. This sucks. So it broke off. The group broke off.
It's probably good, Moose, that you're not fit enough to even contemplate going with it, because it's when you're in that sort of almost fit enough to, like, you could go, but if you go, it's going to be like a full-on session.
Oh yeah.
Whereas you weren't there. You weren't even there to actually, like, it would have been over a session. It would have been a full-on race. Effort.
I would have been hammering for sure, because I got down to the bottom of the hill and I thought, oh yeah, I'll push for home a little bit here. And the kilometers splits that I ran were like 4:21, 4:15. And I thought we were running 3:45, 3:50s. So that's the sort of effort it would have taken. Would have been hard work. But yeah, great to get the group back. We've still got a few that are a bit sick that still head out to the flat stuff for their easy runs, which I don't like. I'm happy if you're doing a workout, go out, do that sort of thing. But I tell you, they got to step up a bit, those boys. Stop inviting people out there. Like go off, do your session, but try not to draw the group to you because it ain't good for the group to go and run flat for 2.5 hours.
Good for you, though. Good week of training.
Thanks.
Good to hear you back. Folks, what have you been doing?
I had another little increase in mileage for the week. So kicked off Monday. So it was a long weekend here. So got out 9:30 in the morning, just around the bike paths. Had Lily on the bike there. So that was 45 minutes at 4:19s. Tuesday morning, jumped on the treadmill because the group were doing like 40 to 45 second hills in the afternoon. I'm like, well, there's no way I can do that. So I did a 35-minute progression run. So I sort of went back through, I guess, all the old sort of treadmill sessions that I've done in the past, and this was one of them. And it's good. It's actually good having all of that data and going, okay, well, I'm probably in similar shape now to when I was back in this period. So what progression run did I do there? And obviously got heart rate. So this one was 10 minutes at 16K an hour, which is like 3:45s, 10 minutes at 16.5K an hour. So it's like high 3:30s, 10 minutes at 17K an hour, which is 3:30s, and then 5 minutes at 17.5K an hour, which is, like 3:26s or something. So it ended up being, like 35 minutes, average like 3:36s for the whole thing. And heart rate, first 10 minutes was like 148 average, second 10 minutes, 157, third 10 minutes, 162, and then the last 5 minutes, 166. So for this session, I make sure I don't go above 170. And it's enjoyable. Like the first 20 minutes is great. And then you're sort of working a bit for the last 15 minutes. So that was Tuesday morning. I then got out that afternoon before the group session for 35 minutes around Mulligan's 4:23s. I then went to the hill session just to coach. Wednesday morning, got up, did 80 minutes, 4:18s. So out at Mulligan's and into Guru Yarru. Then Thursday took off again. I might try and start running Thursdays this week. Then Friday morning was 6 by 6 minutes, 1 minute rest, a little bit humid. So perceived effort was a little bit higher than, I guess, usual, but heart rate was all fairly good. So I did all of these at 17K an hour, which was a little progression from the weeks previous. I'd sort of been doing, I think, 16.5K an hour instead of 17. So it was good to, get that one done.
Hang on. You seeing this, Moose? Seeing the video?
I've just put the volume on to have a look at this.
Oh, smooth. So smooth. But tell me, Croak, so like Friday, 10 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, like who videotapes this? Do you just yell out to Viv, like, hey, Viv, can you come videotape me running in the shed with my shirt off in half tights, please? Or you set it up on a little tripod or something? How do you do it? So Viv went and dropped Lily off at school, and because Collis is at home that day and Viv doesn't work Fridays. So she had just got back and, she parked the car outside the garage and then came in and she actually just started filming. So I did not ask her to film at all, but because she filmed, I thought, I'll put it up. This looks so good, we've got to film it. That's what's going through her head, Moose. Because look how smooth
I reckon, he put it on, though. He knew the camera was on, that's for sure. Look at that arms on him.
And see the poster in the background, like I bought that in the US back in like 2009. And so Viv was going through all of our like junk, I suppose. And she pulled it out and she put it up on the wall. So that was nice of her rather than just throwing it out. Poster, huh?
The quote that's on the pre-poster, is it to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift?
That's the one. Yeah.
Do you
know, they call it the thirst trap? Is that what it's called?
I'm not sure that's ever been recorded. I'm not sure that he ever said that.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's pretty funny because there's no one knows when he said it or where he said it. It's just it's been attributed somehow to him, and they might have even been like a marketing thing from Nike.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah.
I like the quote though; it's pretty cool.
Can you just clarify? Is this a thirst trap? Is this what it is when people do this on social media? This is what the kids
call a thirst trap. Absolutely.
Yeah,
okay. I'm too old to know what that means.
Yeah, so am I. I'm kind of just trying to clarify for myself. Is this a great example of a thirst trap?
100%. This is thirst trap material. So this is like I'll use this same example. if someone like records themselves getting up from sunbaking on the side of the pool and walking into the water and filming themselves from behind, and they might, like a girl might be wearing like a G-string or something. This is the same thing as what Croaks has just done.
Yeah, Croaks has done similar behaviour.
I can get Viv on right now to say that I did not ask her to film it.
It looks good. Don't be ashamed of it, Croaks. Looks beautiful. I'm jealous.
Yes, that afternoon, got out Mulligans again. It was actually hot. Like this run, I definitely ran too fast, given it was a double and it was like 32 degrees. So I did 35 minutes at 4:25s. Achilles was like niggly. So Saturday morning after Little Athletics, I decided, so anytime my Achilles is niggly and I have a longer run, I just stick to the treadmill for two reasons. One, I can just step off, and I'm definitely better at controlling my effort on there. So I just did an hour at 12K an hour. Heart rate for that one was like, I think I averaged well under 130 for that. And then, I didn't feel that well on the Saturday. So Saturday night, we went down to a thing called Skyfire. So it's basically like a 20-minute firework display down at Lake Burley Griffin. So Viv had organised with Jimmy Barker's family and the Crichtons that would go down there, and ended up just being a late night. Highlight though, I'm not much of a firework man, but they had an F-35 fighter jet have like a flyover for like 5 to 10 minutes, and that thing was absolutely amazing. Like, I don't get excited about stuff very often, but to see that thing in action was just amazing, and the noise of it. I wonder if there's any of our listeners that are fighter jet pilots. That would be pretty cool.
There'll be one out there, Croaks.
So
have you ever seen one that close? Like, it is amazing to see these things. Like they were obviously just coming. I don't know what they call it. Like just going left and right, and then they got to just in front of us, and they went straight up and like so fast that they almost just disappeared. It was so good to watch. What are you going to say, Moose?
Oh, yeah, there's potentially one of the girls that runs in our group in the Surf Coast Track Club. Her boyfriend's a fighter pilot, and he runs. Yeah. His name's Jack. There's a chance. Yeah,
right. Yeah, it was so cool. Like, I just hadn't really seen one up that close. It was so low. But then, I just didn't eat enough and drink enough, I don't think, that day. And then actually when we were going home, Lily got stung by a scorpion a couple of times. Yeah, I didn't even know we had bloody scorpions. But they're out at night, and so she was hysterical. So she ended up on my shoulders all the way back to the car. And then my Sunday run. So I ran with Jack for an hour, Zach and Rob, and this was a bit of a grind for me. Like, I felt fairly fine early on, but last half an hour, just dehydrated. It was one of those real warm sort of mornings. 2 hours, 4:16s, but it was a week of 123K. So another little.
What sort of trail was that you ran on?
Like Mulligans,
just dirt.
Yeah, dirt. Yeah.
This heart rate's got to be wrong, doesn't it, Croaks? You went running 158 for the last 30 minutes, were you?
Well, I don't know. It does seem very high. Like, it was one of those mornings where it was hot early. But like all of my other runs, like on Wednesday, for example, like I averaged about 10 beats lower than this for a similar pace. So I don't know whether the heart rate was a little bit out or whether I was just really sort of dehydrated, and from like the day before, just not eating and drinking enough. And then that just, what it's like once you're dehydrated, your heart rate just doesn't come down. So
that heart rate looks accurate.
It does look accurate, I know. Like, and it was super high because most of my other runs have been I think the week before I averaged like 140. So need to be a bit better. It just, obviously, if it just looking at heart rate more, but got through 123K.
Well, you could have just relaxed the pace a bit, Moose. They could have just rolled 430s, the Canberra boys.
He's in a group.
I tell you what, I was
in front of the group. No. That's where he was.
For a lot of this, I was off the back on the hills. Seriously, I was the one that was the slowest. Yeah, I felt like I was the least fit out of the group.
NordVPN has partnered with the Inside Running podcast to offer you an amazing discount. Head to nordvpn.com/inside running to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 additional months on top. Think of NordVPN as your personal bodyguard for your online activity. It encrypts your internet traffic, shielding your personal information from those prying eyes and online criminals with state-of-the-art encryption. It can help you book flights and hotels for your next race, as well as when you're over there, you can connect to a NordVPN server in your home country and safely enjoy the content as if you never left. Wherever you travel, perfect if you want to follow local Aussie sport. With NordVPN, you can access all your streaming services from back home. Don't forget, there's literally no risk with your 30-day money-back guarantee. Give it a try, and if you like it, great. If you don't, they'll issue a full refund, and you can pretend the entire situation never even happened. Check out our link, nordvpn.com/inside running, to get your subscription started today. You can also find the information in the episode description and a link in bio. All right, anyway. It's a good week from you. The staircase continues to build on your Strava graph. Boys, our next guest, I think I've got him here. He is the event director of the TSC Sydney Marathon, presented by ASICS, and they had some very big news last week when they announced that Eliud Kipchoge, probably the greatest marathon runner of all time, is going to come down in 2025 and run his marathon. Wayne Larden, welcome back to the Inside Run podcast.
Good to be back. How are you all?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm not sure if you heard my intro because we did have some technical difficulties there, but congratulations on the news with Eliud Kipchoge coming down in 2025.
Yeah, thank you. It's pretty exciting, isn't it? It's been a long time coming. We've been talking to them for a couple of years now, but finally made some progress once we became an Abbott World Marathon major and managed to seal the deal not too long ago, actually. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting for everyone.
So you've been trying to get him when you weren't a major. Was there just no interest because it just wasn't on his, this is the level of races I do and it needs to be up to this standard?
There was interest. I mean, we spoke to them in early 23 into our second year as a candidate race, and they were interested in Eliud racing Sydney, but he had some other goals at the time, and the timing wasn't right, of course. He was trying to complete his world majors sort of 6, and he had Olympics and whatnot in between. So they were always talking to us, and there was always interest in running in Sydney. But, until we became a major, then the discussions got a bit more serious and we were able to close the deal, which is great.
Is Eliud Kipchoge the biggest draw card that you could possibly have ever had in the entire world of athletics for the marathon?
I think he is, yeah. I don't think there's anyone in running, in road running at least, in the world who is better recognised than Eliud Kipchoge. I don't think anyone has the credentials that he has now. I think for us, the TCS Sydney Marathon being a first-year major, we want to really grow the spectators on the course. We want to bridge that gap. Like, one of the biggest gaps between, us and the other majors right now is the number of spectators out there on the course. And Eliud is probably the only marathon runner in the world who has general recognition beyond the running community. And we felt it important, if one of our main goals is to build those spectator numbers and create that participant experience that people expect at a world major, then Eliud's the right guy to do that.
We were chatting, Wayne, earlier on the show just about the decision to bring him out, which I think you've sort of answered it. But from a business point of view, like, obviously, entries are sold out, so you can't make any more money through entries. Based on Kipchoge's last couple of years, potentially he's past his best. How do you measure return on investment? Because I'd imagine it's not cheap to have him out here. Is it more about him just hyping up the event and getting more people on the streets as opposed to his actual performance on race day?
Yeah, look, an athlete of the quality of Eliud Kipchoge, I don't think you can write him off too quickly. Look, I think he could pull something out. I think it might be a bit too early to say he's finished. So look, we're hopeful that he will run well. We hopefully he'll run well in London and then run well again in Sydney. But as I said, for us, the big thing, for the TCS Sydney Marathon this year is to engage the entire community, to get everyone out, to get the public excited, to get the media excited about, the greatest marathoner ever running in Australia for the first time in a marathon, to get those, news organisations talking about the Sydney Marathon for days before the race, and the entire public know Eliud Kipchoge is racing this Sunday on the streets of Sydney, probably for the last time. Let's go out and have a look and see this guy, and I think the benefits, look, he could run really well. He, who knows? Like I said, he's that quality of an athlete. You can't write him off. But for us, it's about engaging the entire Sydney and Australian running and non-running community to come out and see him, but also support all of those marathon runners on their journey to the Opera House. And I think that's a really important strategic objective that we have, that, Eliud is going to help us with that, incredibly.
Wayne, a lot of our listeners consume a lot of these races and watch them, but what does the process look like when you're trying to sign a big name or put the kind of elite field together? Like, is it like trying to hook up Zoom meetings, or do you get in the room with the right managers when you go to other races? There's a lot of back and forth emails. Like, how does it actually look behind the scenes?
I mean, there's a little, there's a little bit of feeling out all the different agents, and there's a small number of agents who have a big number of the best athletes, right? So they all know we're a world major. We talk to them, and we work with POSO, and they help us create the elite field. We sound them out. They know we're looking for athletes. We'll wait till after the London Marathon and see who's in form before we finalise the rest of our elite field. But there's conversations happening, all the time. Like our elite wheelchair field is almost done. We'll be announcing that soon, and we've got an incredible field, pretty well secured now for the wheelchair race. But yeah, you're talking to agents the whole time, throughout the year, and letting them know it's on. We're interested, getting a bit of a price guide, I suppose, and finalising things after London when we know who's in form, who's not in form, and you got to manage your elite field to a budget as well. So it's quite a process.
We've got a nice photo in the background, Wayne, of the Opera House full, the spectacle that it is, that finish line. I'm just imagining that you're going to have way more interest in that area this year. How are you going to manage the amount of people that you're going to see down in that area?
Well, there's a certain capacity there, Moose, and, it'll fill up. Like, it'll fill up really quickly that morning, given, Kipchoge's racing. What we're trying to do is spread people out on the course. We're creating more entertainment zones, more live sites, more spectator points, more sponsor activations out on the course, and trying to spread people out. We're doing some things to create better access across Macquarie Street, because, once the leaders come down Macquarie Street, that access into the Recovery Village and other areas of the Botanical Gardens are pretty well shut. So we're building a bridge over Macquarie Street this year. But what we want to see, we don't want to see, the Opera House will fill up. There's no question. Macquarie Street will be full all the way to Hyde Park. What our job is to do, is to make sure that we've got spectators right throughout the course. So, all of the recreational runners, all of the people coming from overseas and around Australia, we've got people cheering them right around the course. So we're spending a hell of a lot of time and money on trying to ensure that we do that.
Any major changes to the course, given this year's the first year that it's an actual major?
Yeah, we do. I actually think we're about to have sign off on the new and what I think will be the final course, actually. And it's really nice. We've smoothed things out. I'll give you a bit of a synopsis, but basically, you run down Miller Street onto Pack Highway, across the Harbour Bridge, Western Distributing, you just go straight down Harris Street, around behind Star City and back out. So it's just a straight 2-lane the whole way, no little diversions, no little harbour sections. It's just straight road back onto Western Distributor. It's pretty well the same until you get to Anzac Parade. And we go further out Anzac Parade past the old turnaround at Gardeners Road. So we've got another 2.5K out there. And what that means is that we do that one lap around Centennial Park. Coming past the stadium, we used to turn right and go up Moore Park Road, that horrible hill at 35K. Brady, you'll remember that last year when you were pacing. That's out now. You'll come up, turn left, back onto Flinders, back down Oxford Street, and then down Lady Macquarie's Chair. So it's much smoother. It's 2 lanes. It's like there's literally only one. I mean, I don't count the Anzac Parade turnaround because it's quite a wide one. It's not a straight sort of out and back around a witch's hat. But, so the changes we've made will drop about 90 metres off the elevation. It will be a much smoother course for the runners, but especially for the wheelchair athletes who hit high speeds and were having problems with some of those tight corners down hills that we had last year. So I'm really happy with where the course is going. I don't think we could get a better course in Sydney, and be able to take in all of those icons that we do. So I'm really pleased with where it's going and where it's at now. So, yeah, there'll be a couple of good changes this year.
That's great.
Wayne, how pissed off were you a couple of weeks ago when past winner Kip Korea tested positive for EPO? Like, you would have been having these Eliud Kipchoge conversations, a real good news story on its way, and then fucking bang, this happens.
Well, luckily Eliud was signed, so it didn't impact that. But, it wasn't good to hear. Like we don't, any of us in the sport don't like hearing about people getting done for doping, and it's one of our main objectives, is one of the Abbott World Marathon Majors objectives to come down really hard on that. And, luckily he wasn't, caught cheating at the Sydney Marathon. He was caught cheating a few weeks later. Sorry, sample A, still sample B is still to be done. So we can't crucify him just yet, but it was done after the Sydney Marathon. He was tested before and after the race at Sydney Marathon. But yeah, it wasn't good. I didn't like it. It wasn't nice at all, and no race director likes that. It's not great for the sport. But yeah, it's it happens.
Something more positive, Wayne. I'm hearing some little whispers come through about some Australian only competition and maybe some incentives for Australians to race at Sydney this year.
Yes, and when I'm next on your podcast, I'll be able to tell you all about that. But we've got a really great program for the Aussies. We've increased the prize money for Australians. We really want to focus on supporting the Aussie elites and getting the best possible Australian elite field at the TCS Sydney Marathon. So we're investing in that quite heavily. We've just recruited Ben St. Lawrence. He's working with me now on the Elite Athlete program. And, of course, Ben is a great Australian athlete, a good bloke, and he's very passionate about that too. So he's going to be working with, us, with me, with Posso Sports this year and with the Australian athletes to try and build the best possible Aussie field. And I want to have the best runners, the best Aussies racing in Sydney every year, as championships permit. Of course, that's always a challenge. But, yeah, it will have some really exciting news in a couple of weeks about that.
And for those Aussie athletes, are they going to be sort of looked after a little bit? Because we had Tommy DeCano on, I think, the week pretty much after Sydney last year, and there was obviously the Australian-only prize money, but he sort of said that there wasn't really any sort of, special area for him. He was trying to find toilets in the last sort of 5 minutes before the race. So will those sort of sub-elite Aussies be looked after a little bit better?
So we're going to have there's going to be the elite. We want an elite Aussie field, so they'll be part of the international elite program, and they'll be looked after just the same as the international elites are. So they'll be part of that World Marathon Majors elite program, which is, I think, important. I think they should be treated like all of the other internationals, and we want them in the hotel. We want them on the bus with the elites to the start with the special facilities. That's the super elite program, and the elite Aussies that we recruit will be part of that program, right? So that's important for us, and we've recognised that we need to give them that experience. The other part of, the other objective of ours is not just to allow them to earn more money and have more Aussies, but we want to profile them better too. We want to get the Australian public, the media, more. We want them to recognise the Aussie athletes better than what they are now. So through the broadcast, through the press conference, through the media profiles and all of that stuff. So the Aussie elites that we recruit will be part of the overall one elite program, and they'll be looked after accordingly. Then you've got the sub-elite program. Now, the sub-elite program is probably equivalent to what we used to call the preferred category. And that's, for the really good club runners who aren't, elite, super elite, but we want to give them the opportunity to start just behind the elites, have the best race that they can. They'll have a special area. It won't be the same as the super elites, the Aussie super elites or the internationals, but they'll be looked after and have their own area as well. So, yeah, we want to lift our game. We want to make sure the Aussies get that experience. We want to motivate them to, run alongside those guys, those super elites, be motivated and have that excitement of being part of a world, an Abbott World Marathon Majors elite program.
Last one from me, Wayne. 5 months out, what's keeping you awake at night at the moment? What's on the agenda when you go to work? Like, what are I'm sure it just constantly changes of things you got to tick off, and you can only do so much at certain times.
Yeah, our time frame's just wound earlier than ever, right? Like normally, until this event, we'd have a bit of not downtime, but it'd be quite calm. You get through your work, but and you're just getting the job done. But since race day last year, it's been hectic, like really hectic. Waiting and knowing we were going to pass, keeping that a secret, passing, and then everything that came around that, with the media, and then renegotiating funding, all the sponsor contracts sort of switched into a world major mode, and then trying to then negotiate, key operational changes and things like that. That takes ages, right? So we've been as busy as we normally are in July, in January, and December, January, February. So we've just been flat out. There's nothing really keeping me up at night, although, usually before race day, I don't sleep past 3 or 4 a.m. 2 months before the race. I'm getting days where I am waking up that early now, just because there's so much going on, which is unusual, but it's just part of the job and it's exciting. And, there's a lot we want to do, and we need to make sure we do well in our first year as an Abbott World Marathon Major, because we've got to step up. We're starting a fair way behind the other majors. We've got big numbers this year, really strong, entries and interest in the ballot. We've got a great marquee athlete. We've got to recruit the rest of the field. We've got to finalise the operational changes, and there's so much that we're doing now a lot earlier than normal. Nothing's keeping me up at night, but my mind's definitely more accelerated than what it would be at this time normally.
You're sold out, Wayne, but you can confirm this, maybe there'll be an avenue for entry for sort of time qualifiers still, age group time qualifiers, is that correct?
So what we've got, what we launched in January was the sub-elite program, right, which was an opportunity for up to 600 sub-elite athletes of any age to register for a sub-elite spot, which is what I was talking about before, equivalent to the preferred spot. So that opportunity was opened, and it's since closed, and we've got about 350, 400 athletes who've nominated and been accepted into that program, and we'll be starting just behind the elite internationals and the Aussie elites at the front. We don't have, like the others, like many of the others do have age group qualifying. We didn't want to do that this year because for us, without that experience, we didn't want to bite off more than we could chew. So we created the sub-elite program and kept it fairly open, just to allow to make sure we did cater for those age groupers to be able to get that sort of front of the line start. But we might do that moving forward. I do like that program, but I just want to make sure we do bite-sized chunks, right? Things that we can deliver and improve each year, and didn't want to overdo things this year. So we've catered for them. We'll look at it after this year's race, whether we might do an actual, 5-year age group qualifying thing next year. But that's how it is now.
Not really a question from me, Wayne. Just a congratulations, like to see where the event was, 10, 15 years ago and where it is now. And also the fact that you've taken on board I guess criticisms in a way, in terms of you've tweaked the course over and over again to the point now where it's hardly any paths and that sort of thing. Changed the date to bring it forward so that it's a little bit cooler. You're really listening to the runners and learning, I guess, from each year. So well done.
Yeah, no, thank you. And, our big thing is participant experience. And in 2023, we did an MPS evaluation from all of the runners, and we scored about 36, right? Which isn't bad. Last year, we scored 68, right? This year, we want to score 70 something, right? So it's our big objective to make sure not just the elites, the super elites, the sub elites are happy. We've got to make sure everyone's happy, right? And there's a lot of runners, recreational runners, who do all of the world majors, and we're going to be judged alongside those races. So, we've got a lot of work to do to get up to that standard. But we do listen. We read those surveys. We all do. I read the surveys. I look at the key outtakes. We usually know the pain points that we have each year. We usually will know them. The runners will confirm that. And we're always working towards that. But, until the last sort of couple of years, with full backing of the New South Wales government, Destination New South Wales, all agency support, plus the right amount of funding, it's hard to deliver everything that you want to deliver. We're now in a position where we're able to take on more. We're able to deliver more and move in the direction where we've always wanted to be. But yeah, we do. You're right, Croaks. We do listen. It's important. Runner experience is everything.
Thanks, Wayne. It's good on you. And I know it's Monday night. You've probably been in the office or wherever you work all day today, and then you're talking to us about the same stuff you've been doing all day. So we appreciate you giving up, 20, 25 minutes for the Inside Running podcast.
You're welcome, guys. Love being on the program. Good on you. Thanks very much.
Next time we hear from you, we'll hear some dollars about Australian-only prize money. That'd be the next thing.
That's next. Yep. It'll be good. The runners will love it.
That's good. Thanks, mate. Talk to you next time.
All right. Cheers, boys. Good to see you. Take care.
Yeah. All right, boys, I'm going to whistle through this week because we are behind time. I knew we were going to be. Bringing in 2 guests into our weekly show is, hey, that was good though. Everything we've criticised about that event over the last 3 years, I feel like they've changed. That course,
100%, and that's why, I have been quite critical of the event, and I feel like it's, he deserves congratulations because of the things that they've changed. Even from and I didn't mention there, the Aussie point of view as well. They're definitely starting to try and look after the Aussies a bit more, because there's probably been one area where even in the candidacy period, a lot of our top Aussies weren't rocking up to that event, whereas I think that's going to change now.
Oh, mate, I know the number. I heard the same whisper Moose heard. And the top Aussies are going to be there. They're not going to world champs. Give you the hot tip. The money that's going to be up on offer for these guys, go to the world champs and come 18th, or go get a significant amount of money at Sydney instead. Anyway,
I think what
Monday,
you mean
boys.
Is it's going to keep them away from Berlin or that kind of thing, right? It's just going to.
Well, the world champs are in September. You can't do both.
Yeah, but the world champs is an Aussie singlet. Don't forget that. It's different. You got to.
It is.
People will want to wear that singlet.
Yeah, but some of these people don't get paid that much.
Singlet's priceless, mate.
Okay, it depends who it is at what area of
can't make a 10 out of your Aussie singlets and live in it, Moose.
It's exactly right.
I want to talk about an Aussie singlet in my weekly recap, actually, because I've had some good viewing on the treadmill this week. Monday, 60 minutes, 4:46s. I was pretty tired Monday off the weekend race and long run. In the afternoon, I did 40 minutes on the treadmill. I was watching the Olympic Marathon, Paris 2024. Enjoyed that. Kind of had forgotten about how strong Tola was there. So it was good viewing, some of the shots in there. Tuesday, 90 minutes in strides, 30 minutes on the treadmill that afternoon. Wednesday, I did a workout. Archie come out of retirement, boys. Haven't seen him for about 3 weeks, but he said, "Hey, you doing a workout?" I said, "Yep, meet me down here at 6 a.m. We'll get going." We did, well, he didn't do the whole thing, but he did a bit of it. 3 sets of 3K, 2K, 1K, working down the pace throughout. So the 3K was in 3:20, the 2Ks were in 3:15, and the 1K was in 3:10. It was a fun workout. It was 18K worth of work, but it didn't feel like that. So it kind of went, reasonably quick. Had 90 seconds between the 1K at the end of the set and the next set. And then, 2 minutes between everything else. Hot morning. Appreciated the 2 minutes recovery. And then I had to be home by 8:10 a.m. So I did a 3-minute cool down. Is there any benefit in that? Should I have just taken the shoes off and got in the car? Got me thinking, why do we do cool downs?
Well, one of the theories about cool downs is that it allows, it's more of an emotional thing or a mental thing. So it allows you to fully, almost disengage from the hard stuff and switch back and, release the stress that you build up during the workout. And you kind of analyze the session. And by the time you finish, you've come to terms with everything. But they also found, I think it was some sort of hormone level was reduced when you cool down. And if you don't cool down, then you're staying with this elevated, maybe it's cortisol, you're staying with this elevated sort of almost stressful hormone in your body. So the cool down is actually quite good and can help recovery in that way.
And flush out some of the waste products as well that have built up, especially probably from more higher intensity sessions.
It is a good feeling to cool down. If you've had a good workout, you got the endorphins going, you release all that stress of the pre-workout, and you're just like, that's done. You just go slow. It's a good vibe in the cool down, but I only got 3 minutes that day. Here we go, 30 minutes on the treadmill that afternoon. I put on the Doha World Championship Marathon Croaks. I never watched it. I introduce him every week talking about it, but I've never watched the race.
So you chose that one. You asked for suggestions that afternoon, and I gave you Sammy Wenduru in Chicago going head-to-head with, I think it was Kibeti over the last 2K. And you chose...
It's a 6-minute video. The bloke's got to run for fucking hours. It's 6 minutes.
Try and find the whole race.
I did put it on, and it's pretty boring watch moose because there's about 14 spectators. You go up a highway, you do a Yui, and then you go up the other side of the highway. It's dark. It's obviously hot. Now, I never watched it on the day because it was the same day. I remember this in 2019. It was the same day when we have the paddle steamer race. So I couldn't stay home and watch it because I was racing the paddle steamer. Picking up a local fun run.
Had autographs to sign, Moose.
I had to be a big dog in my own community that morning.
You even watch it that night?
Oh, I'm busy, mate. Hudson was just a baby at the time. Maybe I have watched it, but maybe I forgot about it. But this guy goes off the front real early. It makes things interesting. He got about a minutes 10 up the front, and then he pulled out halfway, and they caught him.
I remember running at the time. I was running with a bloke, I think from Canada. I was running with this bloke from Canada. And this guy on the other side of the road, he's looped around, coming back towards us on the other side of the road. And he's miles in front. And I said to the bloke next to him, who the fuck is that? He's like, no idea. He was a genuine unknown.
Yeah. He ran a marathon 2 weeks before that, they were saying on the commentary. I'm about 30K in. I haven't quite got to the finish line yet. Hey, tell me this, though. Why didn't you go with Malcolm Hicks and Caden Shields? Those two had a two-man pack off the back, and then you were the next pack. And there was 3 people there.
It was 29 degrees, and we were running sub 320K splits, or I was anyway. I thought that was a bit risky, to be honest. I was running my own race, and that was part of the deal for me, is that I would not get caught up in what other people are doing. So even running I was running sub 220 marathon pace in 29 degrees, for me, that was a risk. And I thought, I was actually really worried that I was going to totally fuck it, because I thought it was still out of my league. So I'm actually pretty glad I didn't go with them.
Yeah, would have walked a bit close to the fire. Thursday, I did 50 minutes in the morning before work, 35 minutes in the treadmill after work. Friday, I did 67 minutes in the morning. This was a big morning because there was a lot of news happening. So like the Kipchoge news dropped. Seth O'Donnell's result was kind of big in my message groups, and Richmond beat Carlton. So like big night of sport Thursday night. Missed it all because I was asleep. But that was exciting to wake up to. Saturday, brought my workout forward a day because Sunday was going to be like 29 degrees at 6 a.m. So whereas this was like, 18, 19. I did. This is one from Jordan Donnelly. So I said a couple of weeks ago, I've copy and pasted a couple of his workouts because I took your advice, Moose, when you like stop doing just the same sessions over and over, like get nervous a bit. So I saw this in Chriso's program and I'm like, okay, this one makes me a bit nervous. I've never done this before. It was 4x8K with 2 minutes jog between, trying to cut down 5 seconds per rep. So it was meant to be, Chriso had different paces, but I was working on 330s, 325s, 320s, 317s. First two were real easy. And what I'm enjoying about this is Toby, Chriso, and I are in the same group chat, and we just we're so nerdy. We just talk about like these workouts and how you should do them and what paces you should run and all this kind of stuff. So we're going to going back and forth with these paces. And then we kind of decided that like you want to get the first 2 reps for free. So like my first 2 in 328 and 324, my heart rate was like 151 for the first one and then 156 for the second one. So I kind of went 8K from home, turned around, 8K back, could restock gels and drink bottles and things like that then. And then same thing, went 8K in another direction, then 8K back. And in the third one, when I averaged 319s, I was just like, I'm going to have to really force the 315s. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm just content to just keep this last 8K under 320s and you just want to get the session done without going to the well. And it was starting to warm up a bit then as well. So it was about 24 degrees, I think, when this last session was happening, and the sun was high. And the worst thing was my mental fatigue, just being solo for that long, like 33K workout, 3K warm up by myself, the whole workout. I just felt like, just like low on mental energy. Like I just wanted it to be over. So, whereas the legs felt pretty good. Like my heart rate average for the last 8K was 162. I did kick down the last K in 310 just to see what was there.
It's a brutal workout by yourself. Like you can't, no wonder you're flat. You've just run 4x8K totally solo. Like that's not an easy thing to do.
Well, I don't think I respected it on paper. And then afterwards, like the rest of the day, I'm just like, fuck, that's probably the hardest workout I've ever done.
Yeah, bit my bloody head off for giving you a compliment.
Well, you were trying to take the piss out of me. I know what you were doing. You were trying to say to me, "Oh, you should be running 215 if you can do workouts."
Wait a second. Let me set the scene here.
Can you hear my justification though for why I said that? So I knew it was Chriso's session, okay, and Chriso had already done this session in 4 degrees. He actually had 3 minutes recovery between the reps, not 2, and he was doing basically nothing in those 3 minutes, whereas you were jogging for 2 minutes. And you were averaging
his lactate tested. That's what he was doing.
He wasn't doing much in 3 minutes, and you were jogging, and you were running the reps around 10 seconds a K faster than him. Now, this is the same session for you guys, okay? Obviously, the paces are different, but in terms of the effort, should be about the same. So if you're running 10 seconds a K faster than Chriso for this session, then that should almost correlate to 10 seconds a K faster come race day, which is 7 minutes over the marathon. Now, is Chriso training for 227 and that puts you in 220 shape? Or is Chriso 223 and you're 216? And you did it in the heat.
That kind of like stacks up.
Well, that's my justification.
I actually know what you mean now. I thought you were just trying to set me up to fail at Ballarat. That's why I fired back at you in the message group.
So you're going to apologise?
Yeah, I apologise for getting heated. I apologise for that, Croaks.
It's been
what are you comparing me to Chriso for?
No, but I'm just saying you did. So you basically you're going to beat Chriso by.
I thought you were saying I was overtraining. That's what I thought you were saying. I'm like, Brady's overtraining again, and I'm like, look at my heart rate data. This was like very manageable. Your last 8K of your long run was higher heart rate than my last 8K of this workout.
Yeah, well, that was my reasoning for it anyway.
Don't go compare me to Chriso. We'll go in deep in the monthly, but yeah, I think he was in bed for 4 days after this workout too. It really knocked him over. knocked him over a bit.
Well, I got a question for both of you then.
Yeah.
Who
would win in the octagon? Croaks.
Yeah, I don't actually know about that.
Croaks
That's a good question.
He's got bigger reach.
I'd like your opinion on what gives more recovery, 2 minutes jog or a 1 kilometer float at about 4 minute pace for you guys.
2 minute jog.
Gives more recovery than a 4 minutes a K float.
You know what else is deceiving? 2K floats.
You recover a lot in 2K floats.
I think
but it also adds mileage to the workout.
Like doubling the recovery time. Yes, you're moving, but the 2 minutes is still a jog. So maybe not 4 minute Ks, but I reckon 4 minutes is a decent amount of time at 4 minute Ks to recover.
What I'm just trying to see, what pace did I do those 2 minutes in? Like I was pretty chilled. Yeah, 4:43 for the first one.
Christo was like 11 minutes for 3 minutes recovery.
He was testing lactate. Like he was, So the second one I was 6 minutes because I actually stopped, took my singlet off, put some gels in my pocket. So that cooked me a bit there. And then 5:45. Like that's a pretty slow jog for me. So I felt like I recovered in that time. Yeah. It was a good workout. I recommend you doing it. I actually wore a pair of Adidas Adios Pro 4s Moose. I got my hands on a pair of those to try something different. Bit different. Don't know if I liked them. Didn't really convince me that they were amazing, but at the same time, they felt okay. Haven't worn Adidas shoes since 2016.
Yeah, they're getting better. I did a few strides in them. They felt good on the strides. Probably wouldn't race a marathon in them. I didn't feel like. I mean, the Alpha Fly 3 still owns that space for me. I haven't put anything on the
Alpha Fly 3.
I really do. It is an incredible shoe. Yeah.
The next day, I split my recovery 70 minutes into two. So I did 35 minutes in the morning on the treadmill, watching the last quarter of the footy because I fell asleep the night before and didn't see that. And then I did 35 minutes outside in the afternoon because a cool change come through at 4:48 pace, 165K for the week. Looking forward to putting another week of training together, which would be good. Should we thank some Patreon supporters, Croaks? Just looking at the time here, I reckon we thank some Patreon supporters, and then I might go with the Vic Milers Club news into our next guest, hopefully. We could really pull this off well if all the timings work out.
Running, whether for fun or competition, is always enjoyable, but it's even better when you can do it pain-free. That's why Myo Fitness has teamed up with the Inside Running podcast to bring top-tier sports massage and myotherapy to our running community. Instead of waiting until you're injured to get a massage or see a physio, make recovery a regular part of your training. Stay injury-free for longer and power through your sessions like a boss. Trusted by elite athletes like Genevieve Gregson, Ryan Gregson, Peter Boll, and many AFL stars, Myo Fitness knows what it takes to keep you at your best. Whether you're managing a niggling injury, prepping for a big race, or recovering from an intense training block, our team has you covered at North Melbourne and Yarraville. As a special offer to Inside Running podcast listeners, mention Inside Running to get an intro discount. More details via myofitness.com.au. Located in North Melbourne and Yarraville, Victoria.
No worries. Kick off the Patreon, thanks.
Yeah, so I've got Anthony Grinham. Anthony lives in Sydney and he's run 2034 at the Ponds Park Run, 43:48 at a Sydney Marathon Clinic 10K race, 96 minutes at the 2023 Hoka Sydney Half Marathon, and 4:17 at last year's Gold Coast Marathon. That was his debut, and I believe he had cramping from 18K. So bloody good effort to keep going. I don't know if I would keep going if I was cramping at 18K in a marathon, but thanks for your support, Anthony.
Yeah, good on you, Anthony. Probably the hardest thing you've done in your life, I reckon. Maybe. I don't know nothing about you, but that's a long time to be cramping for. Moose, who you got?
Luke Beaumont. Luke Beaumont's from Melbourne. He ran 18:20 at Maribyrnong Park Run, 87 minutes at the 2023 Run Melbourne Half, and 3:18 at the 2023 Sydney Marathon. Hot year that year. Pretty sure he's an anatomical pathologist, whatever that is.
It's a good title.
What is that?
No idea what it is. Very nice title though, Luke.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I think it's the study of organs and tissues to determine the causes and effects of particular diseases.
Oh, there you go.
Smart man. I'm going to thank Jack Martin from Alexandra Headland in Queensland. He's ran 16 flat at the 2024 Tiger 5K. So I'm sure he would love to have a 15:59 next to his name. That would be frustrating, boys, wouldn't it? A flat time like that.
Yeah.
That'd be rough.
But
33.
maybe, yeah.
You like it? Just got to work on the dip.
I mean,
he's got another flat time there as well coming up.
Oh, he does too. Yeah, 33 at last year's Gold Coast 10K and then 73 flat at the 2023 Gold Coast Half Marathon. 3:06 for the marathon in 2022 at Melbourne Marathon. So Jack's got some PBs. He just needs to take a tiny bit of time off to jump into the next minutes. But thank you, Jack, for your support of the Inside Running podcast. Anthony, Luke, all our supporters over there at Patreon. You can get more details at patreon.com/Inside Running podcast. 3 different levels. If you think our show brings you value and want to support us financially, that's what keeps the lights on and mostly has for the last 385 episodes. Got some bonus content on there as well. We have different people working on different content. I think the monthly boys want to fire up again this week because they want to talk about Kiwiwok Candy, who we're going to get to shortly, and a bit of training talk in there as well. So I expect something there, Patreon supporters. I think Wednesday night. Now, a bit of running news. Morning K's just hit differently when fueled by Axel Coffee. We're proud to have them on as our official caffeine partner. Going to go Vic Milers Club first, Moose. You want to take us through this 1500?
No, I'm going to go through the 800s first.
Okay.
So, because they were sort of we don't quite get the spectacle that the 15 was. So in the ladies, Tess Kersop-Cole ran 2:07 to beat Shani Landon in 2:08, with Lucy Dalbridge just behind, also 2:08. In the men's, Bob Abdelrahman ran 150.44 to beat Alexander Cameron Smith, 150.94, and James Hatton, 151.22. In the ladies 1500, Imogen Baker won the race 4:23 to beat Lucy Cleveland 4:25, and Jessica Coyne was third in 4:26. Now, boys, in the men's 1500, we saw one of the most exciting races we've ever seen in this country, I reckon. The winner of the race, Seth O'Donnell, he ran 3:36.8, and he did it front running. And he did it in the last 500 meters in the pitch black, or not the pitch black. We did get some, the spectators came out and they had their phone torches and they were lighting and out in lane 2, and they kind of lit up a path for him to finish. And what was so cool about this is the spectators were in lane 2, as well as having the phones out, making it a bit of a different scene. But you just saw Setho go into that place in his head, the animal area of his brain where he just turns feral, and he just ripping home this last lap. And people are in lane 2 just going nuts for him. It was amazing viewing, something that makes you want to go to every track and field meet that anyone puts up and hope that the same thing happens. So he was the winner. You don't expect a bloke like Seth to run 3:36. We think of him as a longer distance guy. Think of him as a 5 and 10K cross-country runner. He's going to rip some halves soon enough. But he can do it all, boys.
Funny you say that, Moose, because on Saturday morning I was on the treadmill and I listened to Brady's Seth O'Donnell interview for the first time. And it was, I can't wait to... You're a roads man. Get on the roads. You're going to run an amazing marathon. Can't wait for it to happen. And at the time, that's what everybody's thinking. And then he comes out and he runs his 3:41, which at the time I thought, wow, Seth, where do these wheels come from? Follows that up with a solo, 13:22, and then this. And it's like, I can't wait to chat to him because this changes everything for him now. It's like, he needs to get a manager and start hitting the track circuit. He's a sub 13:10 5K guy. Get him in a Diamond League.
Big call that, knocking 12 seconds off his 5K PB.
Oh, in a paced race, though, he did that 13:22 solo with a 60-second first lap.
And sometimes some personalities just love to be out there gritting their teeth up the front. They don't like to be part of a train, be part of some sort of procession line. Some of them just work better when it's them against the world, which is him.
Can you remember last week I said if you were at Box Hill, you remember the night you saw Seth O'Donnell run that 5K? But now I hope there's people who are probably at both the meets. Now they're going to be like, I've forgotten about Box Hill. I remember the night I was at Doncaster Athletics track and the lights went off and he ran 3:36. Like we're talking about like kind of taking the piss a bit here. Well, not really. Like you don't want to compare him to Prefontaine, but he's got this aura about him. Like if he takes the next step, you're going to be like, oh, I saw him in the like infancy years when he broke through at Box Hill or at Doncaster when the lights went out. Like he's got that kind of vibe. And thanks to Marty Kelly who wrote in, they did some research here. Now, these are the people he's quicker than over 1,500 meters. And when I read these names out, think about where these people would have set their 1,500 meter PBs. So Benny St. Lawrence, Brett Robinson, Pat Tiernan, Sean Crichton, Jack Bruce, Jackson Sharp, Morgan McDonald, Dave McNeil, Jude Thomas, Sam McEntee. They would all be in top tier races running their PBs. Indoor tracks.
Benny St. running 15s like that. I don't think that's... I'd rather hear the 5K. Did he have the 5K list too?
Got the 5K. These are people who's now quicker than over 5K. Andrew Lloyd, Ryan Gregson, Pat Carroll, Steve Moneghetti, Zach Paccioni, Jack Bruce, Isaac Hayne, Liam Adams, James Hanson, Scott Westcott, Rob D. Costello, Michael Shelley. I'm just saying the level of races that those guys are racing in and not Vic Milers Club when the lights go out on a Thursday night.
And they probably haven't gone through 400 meters of the 5K in 60 seconds or 59 seconds, which has to at some point come back and cost you a few seconds at the back end of the race.
Yeah, spot on. We're going to get him on the air in a second, boys. That's some good stats. Thanks to Marty writing those ones in.
So second in the race was Lucas Chiz, 3:42.1, and Charles Barrett third, 42.9. So Lucas... He's coached by Benny, isn't he? Benny Saint?
Yep.
And do we know much about Charles in third?
No. I think he ran, I just know, I saw his name he ran the National 3K as well a couple of days later. But one thing I was thinking about was you think of a couple of our top distance runners at the moment, Andy Buchanan and Seth, and sort of had breakouts in a way at National Cross. So he's like National Cross a little bit sort of underrated in terms of, you know what I mean? Like Andy was winning National Cross before that's how he sort of made his name initially. Seth was the same. And now they go on and do bigger and better things after winning National Cross.
Could be something there, Croaks.
It takes a good runner to win National Cross. You need something a little bit more than just being good in the wet to win National Cross. You have to have something special there. And like we've seen, like at the time, you had a lot, like there were people out there saying, oh, he's good in the wet. He's good in the mud. He's one of those wet weather footballer types. But now we're seeing that's not the case.
Yeah.
I think I've got him here as well, boys. Brilliant padding, by the way. We just had to pad for 5 minutes while Seth was getting organised. Seth O'Donnell, welcome back to the Inside Running podcast. I think you've just clocked off work. Hope you can hear us okay.
Yeah, sorry, boys. I've been a bit busy today, but I got it done. And now for the, have a bit of fun with you boys. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Seth. And you've been on fire, mate. The last 2 weeks, I feel like you're the name on everyone's lips. Everyone wants to talk about Seth O'Donnell. You've come off the brilliant 5K solo where you ran 13:22. And then for the last 500 metres in the dark at Vic Milers Club, a 3:36. You must be stoked with these results. And where have they come from?
Look, I don't know if I'm the talk of the town, but I appreciate that. I think, things are coming along well. I've been working hard in the early part of the year. I chose not to race as much in January and February. I just wanted to focus on getting some good quality training in. And so I've been really happy with what I've been able to produce, and hopefully they can continue moving forward.
The training, Seth, and the lack of racing, is that a plan that you've put in just yourself? Do you have a coach who's guiding you now? I think last time maybe you just stepped away from a coach. Like where are we at now with who's looking after you?
Look, I'm in a bit of an unconventional sort of space at the moment. I don't want to say I'm self-coached because I don't like that terminology. Probably comes with the assumption that I know a little bit more than what I actually know. But I've been writing my own programs and doing my own thing for a little bit. But I think the main thing I've been really happy with is I've got a really solid crew down in Seaford. There's a young business there, Physio Pro Athletic, and with that, I've had access to some world-class strength and conditioning guys. So, like in particular, Aaron Callett and David Beakley have been exceptional in providing me the space to grow, but then also their expertise has been unreal. So I think what's been unconventional but very interesting is they've world-class sort of guys have worked in, Cricket Australia, Tennis Australia. They've worked in the AFL. They haven't necessarily worked with distance runners. I've got my own ideas when it comes to training. They've got their own ideas. And I think one of the things that I've felt has been really good is that there's obviously the traditional approach when it comes to planning running, and I don't think we're as held back by that, which is really good. And I think the most important thing, I really love the environment down there. So I've been doing a lot of training by myself, but it hasn't felt like it.
Yeah, Seth, firstly, congratulations on your last few results. Phenomenal. Has anything changed in training since Brady interviewed you in October? Back then you said you were doing pretty much everything on the treadmill, largely because you were busy with uni. Are you still doing a lot on the treadmill?
Yeah, I mean, probably not as much. Like if I'm doing, say, threshold type training, I like doing it on the treadmill. I can control things a little bit more. But so I haven't had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to train anymore, which is nice. So I've been able to do a little bit more running outside. But I think also one of the main differences in what I've been doing recently, I've been doing a lot of track work, a lot of different types of track work, a lot of faster track work. So that's certainly, I think, helped, particularly with 1500. But yeah, so little changes, but nothing too drastic.
Seth, what have been some of the track workouts? Because I think our listeners would be surprised about how short they are. Last week we spoke about one of your workouts you put on Instagram that was 3x1K, which sounds pretty easy in practice, but or in theory, but in practice, I'm probably nearly certain it's probably one of the hardest workouts you've probably ever done. Like, have you got any samples for us and some examples of some of the numbers you're hitting?
Oh, I don't know if I'll be giving out numbers. I don't think that necessarily helps anyone. But
give out numbers. We want to hear numbers.
I'm not a real numbers man. Like I don't have a Strava. I don't have a Garmin. I don't write my training down, so I don't necessarily remember my numbers as it is. So look, with the 3x1, it's more of a 1500 specific session where I'm trying to hit 1500 meter pace or around about that, and I sort of find that I'm trying to increase the amount of time I can spend at 1500 meter pace in training. And I think one thing that hopefully your listeners can take out of what I'm saying is I think the main thing I've really tried to do, and particularly the last 6 months, is when I'm doing a session, I really want to know, have a strong purpose for what I'm doing so that I can go out and execute accordingly. So I think it's always good to have a discussion with your coach or whatnot in terms of what the goals are behind your session, and sort of adjusting your session on the go if you need to make sure that you're meeting your goals. So the 3x1 I would do fairly regularly, try and hit 1500 meter pace, and I have 8 minutes rest because I feel like I need that amount of rest to be able to repeat the same effort again. And then some days you'll have sessions where you can't quite hit those efforts, so you've got to adjust the length of the effort or the length of the rest as well to make it work. So I think it's really good to make sure that you have a really strong purpose behind what you're doing, and then go out and execute it.
We've seen the Instagram videos that you put out, Seth, which, by the way, fantastic. I don't think anyone I don't think anyone dislikes those. They're amazing. You're
Thanks, man.
you're you're like an influencer's worst nightmare. Calling out their bullshit. It's great. But it also shows your scientific interest or like using evidence-based approach to what you do. Now, does that guide your running training philosophy as well?
Oh, look, to an extent, but I think also in terms of a research standpoint that we're still very young when it comes to our knowledge with distance running, and it's also very hard to know what works for sure. So there's only so much I can implement from that standpoint. But look, I hope with the Instagram content that I try to make sure I'm active in that space to help people. I think it was always hard to start off with that. I got a mate, Sammy Mary, who's been really good in trying to push me along and getting me to do things like that. So I find talking about research from with my physio background and whatnot has given me a space to learn a little bit more and be a little bit more confident with what I'm doing from a running standpoint, from a physio standpoint, and then hopefully help other people too, which is the most important thing.
Seth, most runners in this country that are running 3:36 and 13:22 are got managers and are basically heading overseas on the circuit. Is that sort of in the pipeline for you? Because when I listened to your interview, Brady had pretty much said, "Hey, you're a road man. Just we can't wait to see you move up to the marathon." But surely this 3:36 and 13:22, there's unfinished business on the track. And will you look to head overseas?
Look, I'm honestly not sure what it looks like at the moment. I'm not sort of one for long-term goals, and I think even if you base what I was thinking at the time off that interview, it's probably a lot different to now. So I'm just sort of training to get fit, and I've always sort of done that, and just putting one foot in front of the other and seeing what sort of happens. And things are starting to come along for me in the 5 and the 15. So naturally, I hope that there's more opportunities in that space, but I just sort of have to wait and see when it comes to that. But I'm looking forward to it.
Seth, we've noticed you're in a very, very good-looking singlet at the moment. One running, the boys over there in Adelaide. Fairly new brand. Can you maybe talk about the relationship, how that kind of took off and that partnership, and maybe some more details for us as well, because a lot of our listeners wouldn't have heard of them before.
Yeah, look, I'd stepped out of a sponsorship fairly recently last year, and I was wearing my Hawthorn gear in training and whatnot, and it's not really good running gear. I don't know if anyone's tried wearing footy gear in training, but you sweat a lot and whatnot. And I'd come across a few posts from One Running on Instagram, so I'd reached out to them and asked to see if I could, buy some of their stuff, because it's the quality of their gear looked really good. But they were based in Adelaide, and I happened to be going over to Adelaide for an event at that time. So and they were really good, and they really wanted to support me, and that was sort of, I reckon, early last year. And since then, we've developed a really strong relationship outside of the gear itself. They're really keen runners, and we obviously share that interest, and they're really good people, and that's the most important thing for me. But it's just a bonus that the One Running gear is unrivaled when it comes to quality. So I love wearing it, and and I think one of the special things last year is Ben at One Running put together a Hawthorn coloured singlet for me, so now I can wear Hawthorn gear and not have to compromise on quality. So I'm a very happy man.
Hey Moose, Ben was down at the Roo Run. Did you see him there? He come flying past me at 5K. He's a pretty strong runner as well. So it's a running brand by runners, Seth. Just these guys, just a bit of a startup.
That's it, yeah. And I don't think they've got they're just taking it one step at a time like I am. And I think we share very similar things. So I'm very happy to be working alongside them for this year.
Exciting.
All right, Setho, this will be the last one from me, but where are we going to see you next? Because you're going to have legions of fans now chasing you around this state, maybe even the country.
I don't know about that.
Where are we going to go next to watch you?
Look, I certainly want to head across to Perth. That'll be good. So I'll go over there for the Nationals. That'll be good. There's a big meet in Melbourne coming up, so hopefully all things go to plan there. And then I think, we've got a cross-country season coming up, don't we? But, as I said, I'm not looking too far ahead, but keep an eye on the socials. I'll make sure to keep everyone updated. But, I appreciate that. Thanks, Moose.
And Seth, what's life look like for you now that you're a fully qualified physio? Like, how many days a week you're working? Have training changed as a result of work and uni balance?
I actually think this will be an interesting talking point in terms of how I've managed the training. So I'm working 3 days a week, which is really good. So I'm at Southern Suburbs Physio Centre with Rob O'Donnell, which I feel like a lot of your listeners would know. He's multiple cross-country champion himself, and I've been working alongside him for a long period of time. So it's very special for me to work with him in the clinic. And one of the things that he was really big on was making sure that my physio life didn't encompass me too early, and so that I can get the most out of my running whilst also getting my foot in the door when it comes to, making a difference as a physio. So, so I work there 3 times a week, and it's later on the day. So I'll start work at 12 or 12:30 and finish, around about 8. And so it made things interesting with running. But one of the things I found with my doubles, for instance, is that I actually find I perform better in my second run of the day if I have less rest in between the first and the second run. So, for example, if I have my first run at 8 o'clock, I'll feel better if I do my second run at 11 o'clock as opposed to if I do it at 5 o'clock. So, one of the benefits of me being down at PhysiPro and Seaford is that they've got the ice bars and the saunas and things like that, so I can have a quick recovery session in between my first and second, so I feel like I'm ready to go. And, I feel like my muscle tension hasn't come. Like one of the things I've noticed with my second runs, if you're leaving too far apart, you can feel a little bit flat sometimes, but I feel like there's an element of muscle tension that's still there post first run, so that I feel ready to go on the second run. So I'll get all my Ks done before midday on most days, which is a little bit different, but I've found that it's worked for me, and it allows me to go to work knowing that I don't have to run later on. And as soon as I finish work, I'm either having dinner or I'm talking to you boys.
What a treat for all of us.
Yeah. Seth, the last one for me. How many goals Hawthorn going to win the grand final by this year? They're home, aren't they? No one's touching them all year.
No. Look, we played well the opening round. I think I don't rate the Bombers, so I reckon we just got the job done there. It's a long season. I think our midfield has some development to come, so I'm keeping a lid on it. So we'll just have to wait and see how we go.
Thanks, mate. Lovely to chat to you. I know our listeners would have thoroughly enjoyed that. And, keep doing what you're doing, because you're an entertaining runner to watch and someone to follow in our sport.
I appreciate that. And big shout out to everyone who helped me out on the 1500 with their torches. That meant a lot, so I appreciate all help.
That's crazy. Thanks, Seth.
Thank you. Appreciate
it. See you, mate.
I love him so much, boys. I love him so much. You're so good for the sport. I'm also going to start doing my doubles at 11 a.m.
So down to earth as well. I don't know
about this Hawthorn business.
He goes like every week. He loves Hawthorn.
Yeah, I don't know about Hawthorn. It's a worry that.
It's like, most people that have had the breakthrough that he's had would be so like up and about, and he's like, oh yeah, no, don't think too far ahead. Don't set goals,
Yeah.
But sure,
cross country season will be here soon. Here we going around Charles Park.
Oh.
I think that's good though. It's a good skill to have, because the flip side of that is you become super arrogant and you start being a prick about things.
Yep.
All right, that's guess 2. I did just flick Eliud a message as well, and he said in about 20, 25 minutes we might be able to get him for one question over there in the camp in Kenya. Croaks. He's cleaned his shoes at the moment, so we just got to – hopefully we can snag him by the end of the show. Wayne did flick me his number, and I just threw him a quick text message. He said one question only, but we'll see how we go. Where are we up to? We're still in running news. We've gone through Vic Milers Club. Let's go to Sydney Track Classic. That was the national 3K champs there. Both the favourites got up there. Jude, the prince who was promised, Thomas, he got the win in 7:49.17. Cal Davies was second, 7:50. Jack Bruce third, 7:50.7. Jude just chilled and then just won. It didn't win easy, but it was, I don't know, it felt like Cal Davies was further back than that time actually represents. He had it under control. sat beautifully, got the job done. Georgia Griffith won the women's in 8:54. Maudie Skyring was second, 8:59. Sarah Billings third, 9:02. Or slow for the first K. I think they were 3:04 through the first K. No one really went with the pacemaker, which was weird to have a pacemaker and then not go through it.
What about having a pacemaker in national champs?
Yeah, also weird because, you don't do that. Just let them race, which they kind of did anyway. They kind of ignored the pacemaker. Maudie was solid. Like, she went to the front with, I'm going to say, 900 meters to go, nearly a K to go, and really blew the pack up. Georgia was the one who went with her and then absolutely destroyed her in the last lap. Like, what she put in 5 seconds into her in that last lap. Georgia ran the last K in 2:41, 2:42-ish. So strong. And she's our national record holder over 3K, isn't she? She got that off, Jess?
Yep.
Yeah. So you kind of expect it from her. The 800 was there as well. Pete Bowl got the win there, 144.8. Daniel Longshorts Williams, you know the guy I'm talking about, boys? He wears the baggiest shorts. I love him too. I love this guy.
He's not even 18 yet, I don't think. 145, 49. No, he's 17.
So good. And he looks so happy too. He seems to be just enjoying the sport. Luke Boyce, Benny Saints boy, he was third, 145.5, the national champ from last year. I feel like Luke Boyce is building into his season more. Those other guys we've seen 3 or 4 times, whereas Luke Boyce, it's just maybe 2 races in. Claudia Hollingsworth got the win in the women's, broke 2 minutes, 159.3. Beat Jayla Hancock Cameron in 201.2, and Tess Cursup Cole was third in 201.95. To be honest, boys, I've got it down here for a talking point later on. A bit boring. I'm worried about athletics. At my house over the weekend, it was just a great weekend of sport. Real good NBA game going between the Lakers and the Nuggets Saturday. You're tuning into that. AFL's back. You got the Formula One on. And then when I flicked over to the running, I was just meh. The production quality, the commentary, I know you can't compare athletics in Australia to those other sports, but in this day and age where everyone's in this attention game, so how can you get streams, how can you get eyeballs on your sport? I'm totally concerned, really concerned that athletics is going to get left behind because these other sports are just up their ante and all the production quality and how sexy it is. And I'm a diehard runner and I'm putting it on and just being this isn't really that exciting for me. I want to go back and watch something else.
Brady, we record on Skype. Our production value is 0, nothing. And we have passionate listeners. It is the same thing. People will tune into what they're passionate about. And you're not going to make someone passionate about track and field or distance running, I don't think, just by putting a band on at the meet or, I don't know, making the footage high definition or getting a brilliant commentator on. I'm not going to complain if those things happen, but you just can't do that and then create fans out of nothing. I can't remember a time when the track and field was ever like what you're describing. Not in my lifetime anyway.
No, I was more saying I'm not saying try to get new viewers on board. I'm as an old viewer who that should be my main priority to watch that. I'm starting to be I'll just watch the replay. Which is kind of sad. We don't want to lose those passionate people.
But on the flip side, we're in one of the best periods ever of track and field for our country. You look at across the board, we've got great field athletes. We've got Gack out in the 200, 100. We've got some other top sprinters. We've got Cam Myers, Jess Hull. In terms of we have world-class athletes, which in the past hasn't been the case.
Yeah. I think it's who's there probably croaks. When Seth just said he wants to run Maurie Plant meet, he would be one to get me over the line to be I'll actually drive down and watch that. I actually want to go to a meet. I haven't been to a meet in a while. I've got to maybe fall a bit back in love with athletics. Love road racing. I'll watch a 2.5 hour Japanese marathon every Sunday if I could. But it's athletics is kind of losing me a bit. Just going around in circles. Favourites winning. But give me a Jess Hull at Maurie Plant. Give me a Seth O'Donnell. give me a Cam, the young King Myers, Gauk out. I think Gauk out's going to stall as well.
Yeah, he's going to
It's
stall.
going to be good. It's going to be good to see him at stall. Like, yeah. So like entertainment factor, I'm like, this meet for me was like a bit of a boring one, but it was also up against other stuff.
But I think the athletes are the ones that are going to make it exciting. Like when these guys are running fast times, like, Gauk out breaks 20 seconds for the 200. Like people are going to watch to see how fast he can go, or, Cam Myers basically at the age he is, or even Daniel Williams, like guy's not 18 till August, and he's running 145. Like there's a fair bit to be excited about in the sport.
There is. Do you reckon maybe that's why they turned the lights off at Vic Milers Club, just to make it a bit more interesting?
I was going to ask why those lights went off. Like, who didn't schedule the lights to be as long as the meet was?
Isn't it such an athletics thing to do, though, as well? Like, that wouldn't happen in any other sport. Well, I think it did happen in the AFL years ago. The lights went out, but you just
It happened in the cricket this year in Australia.
Okay.
I think there were some.
Sorry, I'll take my statement back.
There was a tail ender that wanted to go out and practice his batting in the net, and they flicked the wrong switch or something, and so the stadium lights went out.
And it takes like half an hour to warm up too.
This was recently.
Big bash.
Like it was like a test match, or it was a test match or a one day or something like that. The lights went out twice, but they came on they came back on pretty quick. Yeah.
My apologies. It happens all the time in other sports. Next bit of news, Croaks. World Indoor Bluff to boat ramp down in Tassie.
Boat ramp. So I believe, is this the richest 10,000 metre road race in the country?
It is.
I think it might be, yeah.
That's
so
claim to fame.
Sam Clifford got the win there, 29.02. Beat Have to Strinsos, 29.20. Jacob Cox was third in 29.35. In the women's, Jess Stenson, 2 weeks off her Tokyo run, she got the win there, 32.46. I also think she was an ambassador for the event. Caitlin Adams was second, 32.59, and Sarah Klein was third in 33.44. World Indoors. So that's on this weekend, and the team has obviously been announced in the last week. So in the 800 women's, we have Sarah Billings and Abby Caldwell. In the 1500, we've got Georgia Griffith in the women's and Ollie Hoare in the men's. And in the 3000, we have Kai Robinson and we have Jess Hull. So small but fairly elite team there.
Maybe a bit windy down in Tassie. Just had a look at Sam Clifford's Strava. It says 24k an hour winds, because those men's times aren't super quick. Maybe when it's 4 grand.
Very good
weather.
No, bad conditions. Pretty slow.
Yeah, okay. I've just looked up Jess Stenson's Strava too, and she's had a crack at you in here, Croaks. Brad Croker won't be happy about this random upload.
I reckon I've made it in life when at a Commonwealth Games gold medalist is mentioning me in her Strava. I did comment though that it was nice of her to give us the warm up as well.
Just shows us the highs. I asked her about it. You know that's why she's talking about it. Said it does Croaks' head in. He wants to see all your training, not just the races. He's a Strava man. Give him the data.
She left us hanging. No, there's no cool down, just the warm up in the race yesterday.
What do we think about Haftu's run? He wasn't just beaten here; he was beaten by 18 seconds, and this is a guy that we're sort of heralding as one of the next great road runners of the country a few weeks ago when we had him on.
Potentially heavy marathon block moose.
Okay.
That's
a pretty, it's not a good run from him, 29.20, when you consider
Yeah. Marigami was 28 low through 10K.
That's right. How does this happen? Was it very tactical and he just got busted by 18 seconds in the last K, or how did this race go down? I don't know. I don't think there was a stream. Well, I didn't see one anyway. There may have been.
It was just a camera at the finish line.
Don't write him off, Moose.
He has some shockers, though, doesn't he, really? I mean, he came second, but he has some shockers out there. It sort of worries you when you only when you turn into a marathon and you're a little prone to these fantastic races, but also these horrid races as well.
I wonder which marathon he's going to do, because I did see some clip where it did look like he was in some like sort of longer marathon sort of session, maybe.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Your first marathon block can cook you too. Like, he might not be responding to the mileage real well.
Look at Leanne. She didn't have a great 5K down in Adelaide. Ran quite a good marathon.
Wasn't that bad though? 15
30
20?
something?
15
30.
No, it wasn't 15:30.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Sam Clifford ran 2:47 last K. Yeah, the World Indoor Team, you said that, didn't you, Croaks?
Yep.
So it's at this weekend coming.
Yeah, it is. And it's, I think it's things to come, but you can watch it on SBS Viceland in Australia.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
good.
Sarah Billings
That's good.
picked in the team for 800, runs a 3K at Sydney Track Classic the week before.
Well, 1 week before. Is it 1 week?
Yeah,
it
it's
this
on
weekend?
this weekend. It's on this weekend, yep.
Yeah, all right. Drug news, big dog boys. Kibby Watt Candy, who was the previous world record holder for the half marathon, is the Kenyan record holder when he ran 57:32. He has been suspended because he was missing the drug testers, wasn't it, Croaks?
Yeah, it's like one of those ones where he hasn't tested positive, but basically evading.
Yeah, evading the test.
Missing tests. Yeah.
He's also ran 2:04:48 for the marathon. He came fifth at the World Cross Country Champs at Bathurst, third at the Com Games, second at the World Half Marathon Championships. Add this to Ronik's Kipruto suspension, and they have nabbed two of the best ever Kenyan road runners in the past year. Big news, boys. Kibwa Candy's a big fish.
Was he a former world record holder?
Yeah, for the half marathon.
For half marathon.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to anyone who's on those whereabouts lists, you have to make a massive concerted effort to miss tests. Like it's just, you just can't do it by accident. It's just not really possible. So these like evading penalties shouldn't be looked at as like anything less than catching them in the act, basically. If anyone wants to pull that card out, like, this is dirty as fuck to be caught like this in this manner.
Adds to the list, there was, my numbers correct, after the Sydney guy got done, that was 123, so this would be 124 Kenyans are now on the banned list.
You know, wait for the fucking listeners that always go us every week when we say, oh, there might be a bit of a problem in Kenya. You know, like, how do we believe these results? Perhaps there's something going on that we don't know about over there. And every week they come in and go, oh, you wouldn't do it if it was white person that ran this time, or rah, rah, rah. It's just bullshit, isn't it? Like, you got your head in the sand if you don't see what's going on.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise you when, like, I don't know who sent through the screenshot, but it's not like I go, holy shit. Just like, oh yeah, okay, another one.
Yeah, it's like, I actually do go, holy shit, this is bad for our sport. Not holy shit, I'm surprised. I'm like, oh, holy shit, our sport just went down another rung. It's just putting us further in this hole.
Do you know what could happen? I'm not sure on the politics of it all, but I mean, they banned Russia when there was pretty consistent evidence of like a massive state-sponsored or like prevalence of doping within the country. They banned them from the Olympics, from competing. You do that to Kenya, distance running falls apart. Like, what happens then? I mean, Ethiopia absolutely take over. Uganda take over. Can you imagine Olympics with no Kenyans in the 10K?
Nah, I think a bigger consequence is ban them from global marathoning, because that's where all the money is. Like, you start saying, hey, no Kenyan in a world marathon major, no Kenyan in any gold label marathons in the world.
Like, won at the Com Game, or came third at the Com Games, fifth at World Cross. Like he hasn't just been on the roads.
No, my point is the money's on the roads.
Yeah,
like
I
I know there'd be things in their contract for Olympics and stuff like that, but I think that's when the agents, it's like, wow, that's a lot of our income not coming in anymore.
Yeah, you're spending from any world athletics event, which covers track, cross country, road, all of it.
Anyway, I think Sebco's trying to be re-elected as president or something, hasn't he? He's not going to do something controversial like that when he's trying to get elected.
He's trying to be elected for the IOC, isn't he?
No, is he? I don't know.
Yeah, I thought I saw some
that
stuff potentially like head of IOC.
Your boy Cam's backing him in, Crux.
Yeah, well, I thought
that.
That was IOC though, wasn't it? It wasn't World Aths.
I don't know.
Long, I didn't read it. Just saw a picture of him. They were the results, and they were brought to you by Axel Coffee for those early starts on long training blocks. Their seasonal blend is a must try. Use IRP20 for 20% off your first online order. Can we skip whispers? Go to Moose on the Loose and let's bring the show home for listener question, because it's been a long one, boys.
Oh yeah, well, what
do you got for Moose on the Loose?
Reminded me the other day when you just not the other day, just before on that other segment when you told me about the F1.
Oh yeah,
what an absolute bunch of shenanigans it is, this F1. Like, everyone comes out the woodwork all of a sudden, loves fucking racing cars and driving fast and dressing up, gonna go sit on the field and just not even see anything that comes past, just a flash of color, and think that it's fantastic. I hate it. It's like the biggest commercial grab ever over here. People just want to go get seen. The amount of influencers popping out, like B grade, C grade celebrities trying to hang on, they're buying fucking Mercedes hats and Ferrari jackets and all this. Get it? Like, then if they disappear, like the fucking fences start coming down tomorrow, and no one talks about it for another 12 months.
Like Melbourne Cup, everyone's an expert on horses for that day, or the Super Bowl comes around. Haven't watched the game all season, but they're experts on the NFL.
Same deal as that, except this one, it's almost like the douchier people come out and come to the front a little bit stronger.
Entertaining though,
by the way. Brady loves watching.
I watched the Drive to Survive doco on Netflix, and then I'll watch the Australian race. That's the only one I'll really pay attention to. It's about what I was talking about before, though. Entertainment. They have this warm-up lap. So it's pissing down rain. They have the warm-up lap. The kid in his first ever race crashes into the wall on the warm-up lap. He's in tears. The drone's over his head. He's got his head in his hands. He's bawling. They get him out of the car, and then he has to walk back to the paddock. Lewis Hamilton's dad's the first to get him and then gives him a big cuddle. You're like, it's drama. It's just like, and then they do the next warm-up lap, and then the guy who won last year, he crashes. And you're like, what? That's just entertainment factor.
The weather definitely played into the excitement yesterday, like especially even halfway or towards the back end of the race where it sort of dried up, and then the showers were forecasted, but then people are making choices about what tyres they're going to have on, trying to basically predict the weather.
Let's not turn this into a fucking review of the F1. That's not what the segment was about. The segment was about how much carry-on there is about it.
Hudson brings his reader home today, Moose. Guess which book he's picked his reading box at school? It's like a racing car book. I'm like, we've got him hooked in. He'll get a Ferrari hat for his birthday.
I reckon Moose, I thought Moose would have been having a go at the guy that crashed on the outlap, because he's like, that's your freaking job. You crashed before the race even started.
I was about to say.
Remember we're down in Melbourne.
Your hammy in a warm-up.
I think we're down in Melbourne for the Lakeside 10 that year, and I remember on the Friday night, Brady, we're watching the AFL, and I reckon the Cats might have been playing, and somebody missed a goal, and Moose was like, that's your fucking job to kick goals, and you missed. So I was sort of expecting Moose to have the same rant about a guy crashing before the race even starts. This is your job, and you couldn't even make it to the start line?
I am still backing I'm still saying the same thing. If I can go down the oval and kick 8 out of 10 goals from 25 meters out in front and just do that on a fucking Monday night at 8 p.m. in the dark, and you can't kick this and you're getting paid $800,000, that you should not get paid. I remember one game of footy I played, I had a shit game. I said, I don't want that $50. I don't want that $50. I didn't earn that today. Didn't earn the $50 for the beers afterwards. You keep it. And that's what these people should be doing. They should say, I didn't earn that 80 grand for that game today. Keep that. Give that to someone who did earn it.
Yeah, love it. All right, Craig, listen to the question.
All right, this episode's listener question is proudly brought to you by Precision Fuel and Hydration. Take your nutrition to the next level. Check out the link in the show notes for their free online planner to nail your fueling and hydration strategy, or even book a one-on-one consultation. Visit precisionhydration.com. Now, question is from Emmanuel Mario. How many kilometers do you put into a race day shoe before making it a training shoe?
Good question.
I don't have the answer for this because I don't do that. It's not how it really works for me.
Well, you go box fresh new ones.
I go like training before the race, then I race in it, then I train in it, then I race in it. And then I'm not using old shoes to train in anymore. My love of running is too strong to do that.
You're not a good example here.
No. I reckon let's use Alpha Fly 1 as an example. So I've got a few pairs of them, and so I'm comfortable with pretty much wearing them straight out of the box for a race. So I reckon I'd probably get 160K, so four marathons or so at least, and then I'd maybe turn it into more of a training shoe, maybe 200K.
You'd wear the same pair of Alpha Flies for 4 different marathons.
Well, I don't race, but yeah, I reckon I could not training in them, but I reckon they'd still be okay after 150K.
Yeah,
that shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah,
shouldn't be too bad.
You're not training in them because you've got old pairs of Alpha. Like you've got a pair that's done 200K, which you're using for training, but you just got a race shoe which, you run 4 to 5 marathons in that, and then it's a training shoe.
Would you wear box fresh, or you'd have to do a workout in them?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like something like Alpha 1, because I've done so much in them, like I could just jump straight into them for a race.
So say example, can I just go Moose and say this Adidas thing I wore on the weekend? I'm like, it's a good shoe. It got me through the workout. Like I didn't come away from it going, that is definitely my shoe for Ballarat. So I'm like, I probably need at least 2 more workouts in it to convince me. And then it's at 80, 90 Ks. I'd probably be looking at, hey, I need a box fresh pair if I want to run my best at Ballarat. Am I overthinking that? 90 Ks in, 100 Ks in?
Surely, if 90 Ks in, surely you can get another good 40 out of it.
Yeah. I think you can still get some pretty good return from shoes under 100K. Like I would be balking at 200K racing in a pair of shoes when like you're looking at every second being counting.
That's what I mean. Yeah. You don't want to tick every box. And you want the placebo being like, this is box fresh. There's no, like I haven't put any Ks out the back of Rich River Golf Club into this pair.
That's right. And it feels better. It's a mental thing, isn't it? It's like, this is as good as this shoe could ever be right now. I am going to get
I think I would buy a pair if it had 90 Ks in it. So you want to do enough this is where when you know a shoe that works for you, you're like, wow, Alpha Fly 1, Vaporfly, whatever you've ran in the past, you're like, okay, I can get a box fresh pair of these and not worry about it on race day. Whereas if it's a new shoe, you want to put the Ks in to get the evidence that it's going to work for you. But then you've also got to probably reinvest because you want to, especially if you're paying for flights overseas and accommodation, and you're like, you might be spending $5,000 on a trip to go run a good marathon. And you're like, well, what's an extra $300 to make sure your footwear is going to be the best it can be? Good for the retailers.
I think 90 is all right. No, I'm actually saying you could race in 90. You'll be all right with 90. I'd say 190, I'd start getting a new one. You know, the Saucony Endorphin Elite, I reckon that's worth trying for you, Brady. I reckon you'd be a good responder to that shoe.
Yeah. Well, I got some Asics Meta Speed edges as well that I want to put through the system. Put through the train and check those out. But yeah, I mean, look, isn't it like $420 or something?
Not cheap.
It's really expensive. Yeah.
How much though does having now, Brady, too many options screw with your head to the point that you're like, I don't know which one to wear? Like,
no, I think you just become content. You're like, well, they're all, and I actually don't respond to super shoes. That's why I still haven't run a good marathon. So I'm not too concerned because for me, they're all 5 out of 10 Crocs. So I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. Lose my suitcase on the day going over there, and I'll just go to the local running company in Ballarat and just get whatever's on the wall and be a 5 out of 10 responder. That's what I'm talking about anyway. Takes out Croaks with the read for precision.
Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration, Brady's relied on their products like the resealable 90-gram gel for his long runs, and plenty of elite athletes trust them too, including Olympians and ultra runners. Visit precisionhydration.com and use the code INSIDERUN2025 for 15% off your first order.
A very special thing's going to happen here, Croaks. I've been working my phone for the last 20 minutes. I think I've got him on the line here. He said one question. Eliud Kipchoge, welcome to the Inside Run podcast.
Oh, thank you very much.
Hey, Eliud, I'm wondering if you've got a favourite Australian runner. Like you had some good battles with Craig Mottram, your training partner, Augustine Chogi, then beat him at the Commonwealth Games. And there's also been a couple of Australians who have paced you recently in the breaking two with Collis Birmingham and then the 159.
Yes. You know, those are the people I'm looking forward to see them. I think for the organizations of Sydney, I think I will have a day or an hour actually to be in press conference together, just share, listen to them what is in their minds on as far as actually uplifting the sport in Australia. And I will tell myself what's in my mind on what will happen in Australia, and I will tell them actually to help me make Australia a running nation. Those are the people actually I will be meeting them, sharing the ideas with them, doing press conferences together, going for a run actually together, and all of us, we are one.
Thanks, boss. We'll see you up in Sydney when it gets to August time. Hope you're happy with that one. See you, mate.
I'm happy, and I wish everybody all the best. Thank you.
How was that, boys? Did you like that little treat?
Never thought we'd get him on.
I never thought in all my days of podcasting, I never thought that we'd have Eliud Kipchoge feature on an episode of the Inside Run podcast. Completely dodged my question, but geez, it's a big night for the show.
Impressive stuff from you.
Who would have you said, Moose?
What?
If you had the same question, who would have you said?
Just remind me that question again.
Who's your favourite Australian runner?
Oh, what, all time?
Yeah, all time.
Favorite all time? That's a very good question.
That's what people are saying in the press. I mean, in the
Steve Monaghetti.
Yeah, good answer, Croaks.
Steve Monaghetti.
I guess growing up, it was actually my first memory of like a superstar runner was probably Andrew Lloyd winning the Commonwealth Games in 1990, because I remember it was like, remember they used to have that Sports Sunday or whatever, and they had like people used to vote for like greatest moment or whatever. And I remember the Andrew Lloyd 5K just got like replayed like over and over again, that finish. But I'm not saying he's my favorite, but it's like my youngest sort of memory of a famous distance runner.
Yeah, right. He's selling gels now these days, isn't he?
Yeah, Goo.
Yeah, that's him. What's coming up, Croaks? You did tell me World Indoor Champs coming up on SBS Viceland. Also, Patreon supporters, keep an eye out for a post coming the next couple of days. We got Andy Below coming back on the show from the founder of Precision. So any fueling related questions, he's always been great when we've had him on. Drop them in that post when you see that one posted. Also, some big news coming out of New Zealand for your boy, Croak, Sam Ruth. He's going to try and become the youngest person to break 4 minutes for the mile in Auckland Wednesday night, live on Athletics New Zealand YouTube. So get around him if you're down there in New Zealand. Hopefully we're talking about this time next week. What are you doing, Moose, between now and next week?
A couple of workouts, running a bit, another doctor check-in. That's about me.
Good. Croaks, what are you doing?
Going camping.
Camping?
Got
You?
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah, we're meant to go on the long weekend, but the weather forecast looked crap, so we pushed it back a couple of weeks. So, yeah, we're going down to Lake Tabouri, so like halfway between Ulladulla and Bateman's Bay for a couple of days. So
you're gonna sleep in tent?
No, we've got a. I would happily sleep in it. I would, but we've got this little camper trailer. So I've never actually stayed in the camper trailer before. Viv's taken it down to Melbourne with the kids for like Melbourne Cup Carnival in the past, but this will be my debut in the camper trailer.
Well, you own a camper trailer.
Must be nice.
It's like it's like there's a difference between a caravan and a camper trailer. It's like this little thing that just pops up. Like it's I don't know. Viv will be the one showing me how it works because I've never used it.
And you tow it behind the car?
Yeah, tow it behind the car.
What, Viv drove it all the way to Melbourne?
Yeah, she did.
She's not just good at taking Instagram video or Strava videos, Moose. She can put up camper trailers as well.
Does she drive it? Does she drive it on the holiday too, and you're in the back seat?
Hopefully. No, she doesn't like driving down. She doesn't like driving down the Clyde Mountain, so that'll be me.
She'll be the one cutting the wood and stuff, Crooks.
Well, that's Brady. You didn't enjoy driving down the Clyde Mountain either when you went down to Bateman's Bay.
Yeah, they're doing heaps of roadworks and stuff when I did that.
Yeah.
They're still doing that. Terrible drive.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not too bad now.
Yeah, okay. All right. That's episode number 385. Big one. Thanks for tuning in if you're still here. Do it all again next week, boys. See you later.
See ya.
See ya.
Train hard, recover smart, perform better. Myo Fitness, trusted by elites like Genevieve Gregson, Ryan Gregson, Peter Bowl, and many AFL stars, offers sports massage and myotherapy to keep you moving at your best. Don't wait for an injury. Make recovery part of your training. Listeners can get $10 off their first treatment. Details in the Inside Running podcast bio. Myo Fitness is located in North Melbourne and Yarraville, Victoria. Book now at myofitness.com.au.